Hello, Edmond 5th graders, and welcome to week 2 of our distance learning. This week is all about decimals. So we're going to start today with reading and writing decimals to the thousandths place. Then we will put them on a number line, compare and order them, and lastly we'll end the week adding and subtracting decimals. There's a lot of fun games embedded throughout the week, some fun songs and videos, so I hope that you enjoy this week as we go along. Before we get started though, I did want to talk about one common mistake that we hear around us every day, all the time, but I just want us to be really aware of it this week, and that's the use of the word and in math. In math, the word and means that it's separating the whole numbers from the numbers that are meant to be the pieces or the parts that are left over, or separating the whole numbers from the decimals and the fractions. So we often hear and used in the wrong place just because it's out of habit and we just talk so quickly and sometimes a little lazily, but this week we're going to be really aware of it. So if I see a number like this, sometimes I might accidentally read this as 312. Did you hear that in there? That n is an and. 312 is what I just said when I read that number. So in math terms, what that actually means is 312. 300 whole pieces and 12 hundredths left over. So that is not what I meant to say, and it would be very different if I went to the bank and I thought I was depositing $312, but actually deposited $300.12. So I want you to be very aware of the way you use your and. In my class, I make my students celebrate the and so that we just put emphasis there, kind of like a touchdown celebration where it's different for everyone, but it's very intentional. So you'll hear me emphasizing the and. Sometimes my students like to sing it or just say it a little louder or give it a little attitude. You'll hear me emphasize the and as I continue this video, and I hope that you will have a little fun with that and make sure as you're reading the decimals today and this week that you find your celebration in there. So if we look at this number, I would read it 14 and 76 hundredths. Did you hear the celebration? You give it a try. Now, as I said that number, I heard hundredths. That THS at the end is extremely important because that lets us know that it's not a whole number, that it is just a piece or a fraction or a decimal that is left over. And so one way to remember to say the THS, as I show you that card again, is to focus on the first two place value after the decimal or to the right of the decimal. Okay, we don't have a oneths place because we are separate. We're dividing that one into 10 pieces. So I have tenths. I just labeled it with a T. And I have hundredths, which I labeled with an H. And that makes the th sound. So if I just label that, it reminds me to say the hundredths place. And that's going to continue. The tenths, the hundredths, the thousandths, the 10,000ths, and so on. That THS is important. As the decimals get longer and larger, sometimes our confidence in reading those decreases. So there is a short phrase that I use in my classroom that helps many students, so maybe it would help you. That phrase is, say the number as if there were no dot, then say the last place value spot. I'll say it again. Say the number as if there were no dot, then say the last place value spot. So if we look at our previous example, 14 and say the number as if there were no dot, 76, and the last place value spot is the hundredths. Let's look at a new example. I would read this 7 and 806 thousandths. 7 Say that as if there were no dot. 806, and the last place value spot is the thousandths. So you do have to process the number, think through what that last place value actually is before you begin, but then you can read those numbers with confidence. As always, if you have any questions, please reach out to your teachers. They are able and willing to help you with any question you have, whether it's math, reading, science, or social studies. Just a reminder, these videos are intended, or these lessons, are intended to be about 30 minutes. Some might be a little longer, some might be just a little bit less, but if it's taking you a lot longer than 30 minutes, please reach out to your teacher and they would be more than happy to help you. I hope that you enjoy the games and the songs this week, and I hope that they help you master those decimals, and have a great week.